Lynn, critics praise you being a piano player in one row with Jared, Jamal, McCoy Tyner. What do you think about that?
They are my heroes. There are no words to describe how I feel about their music. They have inspired millions and reached people's hearts, and all I can say is that I look to them for guidance.
Where did you learn piano?
I studied classical music first, and I started playing jazz when I was around 25, and started with learning the masters and transcribing solos and trying to learn the language.
I heard you started very early. You was 4 years old, is that right?
I was 4 when I started playing by ear, but since there was no jazz in the house that I grew up in, I had to study classical music, and I started, and initially I would ask my teacher to play the songs for me, and I would play them back, but then she found out what I was doing.
You could do it by ear?
Yeah, but they were simple songs.
What was it, for instance?
Oh, little folk songs, you know, like Piano 1, Book 1.
Play.
Oh, I don't remember.
No, you don't remember? And how did you come finally to jazz? You heard jazz in the radio probably, or what?
No, it was more of a passing thought. I just had a thought one day when I was walking down the street, you should study jazz. You know, we have thousands of thoughts every day. Some of them are sane and some of them are not. But I decided to pursue this path, and when I first started studying, I was completely amazed because I had no idea that jazz was improvised music, that we played the melody first and then we make up new melodies after that. So this opened an entirely new world to me, and it's very exciting.
From today's point of view, sane or insane?
It's still being written. Well, I'll let you know when I'm 80. I hope I'll still be here, but I'll let you know.
How important did composing become for you over the years? I know you started slowly, and now you're writing more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. I started by arranging other people's music, which is easier because the song is already there, and it's a question of taking that tune and seeing what new light could be shed on the tune. But now I'm writing more of my own music, and I look for beautiful melodies. I listen, I sing away from the piano in order to find just the right notes at the right time. And you know, there are no books that say how do you write a great melody. That's the eternal quest for composers.
But some do. You play folk songs as well as Thelonious Monk and Keith Jarrett. You play Paul McCartney and John Lennon. You play American Woman. Are there no borders for you?
No borders. Music is music. And again, I look for great melodies. And that's really what people remember when they hear music. They remember the melodies. And so it doesn't matter to me what genre the music is in. You know, the critics and the historians have created different categories of music in order to organize it. But in reality, it's just sound. It's sound that's organized, and, you know, it reaches people, and it really doesn't matter what genre it's from.
We're always talking of the great American songbook. There's another American songbook, all the pop hits from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 70s, like Beach Boys, Chicago. Mm-hmm. That would be another great American songbook for me. Could you imagine to play music out of that material?
Yes, but it's important for when I'm researching material to find material that works when we take away the lyrics. Often, if we take away the lyrics, the melodies don't always stand alone. Many times they do. So I have to imagine that an audience has never heard this song before, and that they don't know the history, and they didn't grow up hearing it. And with this melody of any particular tune, would it be strong? Would it remain with them? Would it stay in their ear, regardless of the lyrics? Because they won't be hearing lyrics when I play them.
That leaves you with quite a lot of piece of work.
Yes.
I would say you are very, very touching, probably most touching when you play ballads. Do you consider yourself as a ballad player?
That's one facet of what we do. I like to explore every possible human emotion that I can find in music. Music is about expressing our deepest feelings, and as human beings, we have every feeling. And our job is to find that in the sound, and to find those emotions and transmit that through the sound to the audience.
One thing would be a piano solo album. Ever thought of that?
That's a big challenge. I need a lot of practice.
Did you ever think of that?
I have. But right now I'm very busy with the trio and writing for the trio.
Once you found a song for the trio, how you make it a typical Ariel song?
I start with dropping any preconceived ideas about what the tune was. And I sit with the melody. And I think, what could this be? And I sing it over and over and over again. And I might play it in different keys and try different textures or feels for the tune. Sometimes just waiting till our intuitive mind starts coming up with ideas. I don't want to superimpose my mind on a tune. I want to find something in the tune that is special to me and somehow, shine a light on that so that maybe it's a slightly different angle. And when people hear the tune, they'll still recognize the tune, but somehow to find whatever that is that's special to me.
You said sing. You sing it to you?
Yes.
With your voice?
Yes.
Loud and clear?
Yes.
Or inside?
Loud. Right.
Give me an impression of that. How do I have to? What do I have to think? How is that working?
Oh, I'll sit quietly or loudly or in the car when I'm driving, and I'll be singing a song and just listening to the shape of the melody, how it feels.
Uh-huh.
And again, this is non-intellectual. This is very intuitive.
Bathroom.
And, pardon me, anywhere, in the kitchen, in the car, anywhere.
Tell me in a few words, what makes a great tune?
A great tune needs to tell a little story. Just like a short story in literature has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And one thing that's very important in a great tune is having the first idea be completely engaging. In other words, we hear that idea and somehow, our ears just relate to that. There's something universal that idea has touched. Then the big question is, what needs to follow? What must be the next phrase? There are several versions, from what I understand, of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, where he rewrote sections. And historians can look and see why the ultimate version that we know as the Fifth Symphony is the best. When we're writing songs, often, we have one idea and then we have another one. Which one feels like the right idea that needs to follow organically? And again, that's very subjective. There are no books that say this is what needs to happen next. But we look at the shape, we look at an idea and an answer, and then another idea. And it takes us and it engages. It takes us on a little musical journey.
Mm-hmm. You were raised as an adopted child?
Yes.
Yeah. Did your parents have any music in the house?
No. As I requested music as I grew older, there was music, but neither of my parents that I grew up with were musical. And later I wanted to meet my biological mother just because I wanted to know where I came from. There was no question in my mind who my parents were. But I met her, and she had been a jazz singer. She wasn't anymore, but that was part of her life path. And it was very poignant, very moving to meet her.
That came as a kind of surprise, I guess.
Yes, definitely.
Did you expect something like that in your dreams, possibly?
No, I didn't. I had no idea when you're adopted, you have no thought of what your mother or father would look like, except that maybe they would look like you. But when I first met her, I didn't even think that was her.
Have you ever heard her singing?
No. She had an injury, and so she stopped singing when she was about 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm. You studied classical piano. Mm-hmm. You have a degree. You still play classical music sometimes?
I'm working on one of the Chopin etudes right now because they're so amazing and so challenging. I don't have enough hours in the day to practice piano. I need more time. But I love classical music, and it's certainly part of my aesthetic.